Hello, my name is Chris Franks, and I'm the founder of the How to Founder podcast. And we're here to revolutionize the way you learn the practical skills about being a founder and make the world a better place.
Hello, my name is Saeed Jabrani. I am the CEO of Ametabug, and we're here to revolutionize the way you report bugs on your mobile platform.
Happen will revolutionize location-based mobile news aggregation as you know it.
We're making the world a better place through Paxos algorithms for consensus protocols.
And we're making the world a better place through software-defined data centers for cloud computing.
A better place through canonical data models to communicate between endpoints.
A better place through scalable, fault-tolerant distributed databases with ACID transactions.
And we are truly local mobile social.
And we're completely low.
And we're Molo-so.
We're low-mo-so, bro.
We were so-low-mo, but now we're mo-low-so. No, mo-so-low. No.
We're Molo-so, bro. Oh, Anthony, over 90% of companies have some sort of documented mission. So this must be one of the most important things founders should focus on, right? Wrong. According to a really growing body of research, the vast majority of those efforts are a colossal waste of time. Don't believe me. Let's look at some of the data. In 2015, Achiever survey said 61% of their employees don't know their company's mission statement. It's not surprising considering that most mission statements resembles like some of those things we just watched in the video. But missions don't really matter, right? It's all about the values. That's what really matters. Well, there's some bad news there as well. In 2015, the Gallup survey said only 27% of employees strongly believe in their company's values, and less than half strongly agree they even know what makes their organization different or what it stands for. So, why are most mission, vision, value statements so horribly bad? Does my company need a mission statement? What the hell does so-low-mo even mean? Similar to a tree falling in the woods, if my company doesn't have a mission statement, does it even exist? All that and more on today's How to Founder. Chris Franks.
Hi, I'm Anthony Franco. Founders, here's our mission statement. Founders are the pioneers who drive economic prosperity. And here in How to Founder, we try and help equip them for the journey.
Anthony, I hate mission statements. As a matter of fact, I've said that it's one of... it's just part of it. So is that really our mission statement? Like, are those really mission statements? Because, I'm in the mode of truly hating mission statements. All right, I'm going to read you a few mission statements. We're going to do a little pop quiz this morning. I'm going to read you some mission statements from some companies that are fairly well known. I'm going to ask you to guess them. Are you ready? All right. It's this company's mission statement. Oh, wait, hold on. That's not even it. Our
mission statement for How to Founder is come prepared, Chris. I think
that's exactly it. Okay, here we go. This company's mission statement is undisputed marketplace leadership. Undisputed marketplace leadership. Take a wild guess whose mission statement that is.
It sounds so. Knowing the founder, I would guess it's Oracle or Salesforce.
It's pretty good. It's Hershey's. It's Hershey's mission statement.
Okay. All right.
Why does Hershey's have a mission statement that makes me a little scared? I thought Hershey's Kisses were kind of warm and fuzzy.
That's funny.
The companies this one's so good. All right. How about this one? A company that inspires and fulfills your curiosity. It inspires and fulfills your curiosity.
National Geographic?
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good guess. It's Sony. Which is like, okay, maybe. I thought your mission statement was to make cool shit, but apparently it's not. All right, let's do one more for you here. This one is to shape the future of the internet by creating unprecedented value and opportunity for our customers, employers, investors, and ecosystem partners.
That is every single internet startup on the planet. So our mission is to do stuff for the people that are connected to us and make sure that we make money.
That's pretty much it, right?
Who? I want to short that. Who was that?
That is Cisco, and it gets it's like, okay, I kind of get that, but well, so
the question is, how many executives sat in a room for how long to argue over the result of that mission statement exercise?
Oh, and whether or not it actually works. I'll do one more for you.
Okay.
It is this company's mission to be the most successful computer company in the world.
Gateway
Delivering the best customer experience in markets we serve.
In markets we serve. It's brilliant. Yeah, Gateway Computer.
It's close. It's Dell. Dell is.
Okay. That was my second guess. Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's like, I love the big bold statement here. It is to be the most successful computer company in the world, and I feel like there should be a ...
In the market we serve.
At delivering the best customer experience in the market we serve.
So we plan to make more money than anybody else in the sheet metal bending business.
So
right.
I'm going to start with the most obvious question. I obviously feel incredibly strongly about how stupid mission statements are, but why does 90+% of companies in the world, in the United States, they have written down some sort of a mission and vision statement? Why do companies do this? Why do they go through the brain damage of creating these completely asinine statements?
Well, I have the cynical answer and the practical answer. The cynical answer is because they read it somewhere in a marketing book, and because everybody else has one that's a big company. So we need, obviously, it's a part of the check the mark box. For every company that I've been a part of, we had a mission, vision, and value statement. And it can very easily become a thing that people roll their eyes over. When I say people, like the people that work for you.
Or you.
And it can also just sit in a drawer and nobody ever knows it. To your statistical references, but the reason why companies do it, I can tell you why I do it, but most companies do it because it's perfunctory.
It's FOMO, right? Like, you're just scared that, like, well, everybody else has got a mission statement. Why do we have I don't have a mission statement. We got to have a mission statement too, right?
Right. But You know who does a good job at this?
Who's that?
Elon Musk.
I
He does a
think
really,
there's some
He does a
terrific
really
ones.
good job at it.
Yeah. I think there's some terrific ones out there as well.
I think SpaceX is something like extend human consciousness beyond our planet or something like that. Like
that's a really good mission statement.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think at its best, what a mission statement can do is galvanize and crystallize a purpose. Why is it that we're coming together as a group of people with all of our junk, all of our flaws, all of our foibles? Why is it that we're choosing to spend our time here? Because, as we all know, like, it's not just for the money, right? The money is part of it, but you can make money doing a lot of things. Like, that time you were a drug runner, we don't talk about that area of your life. You had a cigarette boat.
There's a manufacturer. There's a difference.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, that's Breaking Bad. That's right. Well, but at its best, what you could do is sort of galvanize and create a sense of purpose. But what I think has happened in corporate America, and I think founders sort of kind of get pulled into this world, is this notion that a mission statement can replace a sense of purpose, a sense of why, a reason why this company exists.
It can replace?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they think it can. So as opposed to actually creating a mission or telling a story or really talking about why the company exists, they're like, well, I have a mission statement, so why do I need to fucking worry about that stuff?
Well, I mean, so I'm very confused. Isn't a mission statement supposed to be that?
Exactly that. Not replace it, but be that?
It at its best, it can be. But at its worst, it becomes, we want to be the best computer manufacturer in the world at customer service in the markets we serve. Right. So it's like, at its best, you can, like the Elon Musk one, this is a moonshot, right? This is the classic example. Here's a question for you. Was we are going to the moon in this decade, was that one of the greatest mission statements of all time? It set a mission statement for the United States.
It wasn't in this decade. Oh, wait. The
That's what I'm not. No. I'm saying that when John F. Kennedy said it in 1969,
right.
He said that we're going to the moon, right? So the classic idea is that's called a moonshot, right? What is
literally that's where this term came from, right?
Exactly. Is that a mission statement? And if so, was that the best mission statement ever?
It doesn't answer the question why. If I'm being really practical about it, I think the why is kind of inherent, like just to show that we can, just to show, like it's a show of power, right, and show of accomplishment. And the why is because we're explorers, right? So maybe it's inherent. It certainly did a lot of the things a mission statement should do, and that is galvanize, to use your word, a community around a common goal and vision.
So let's start by breaking down the components, because we're saying here that there's three components, and most all companies have these components. There's a mission, there's a vision, and then there's values. And so we've been picking on a mission statement because they're so freaking hard to write. They're so hard to get right. And it's like you're constantly going to, we want to be the best in the world, while also saying, at customer service within the markets we serve, right? Like it's this kind of big thing. But what in your mind is a vision statement? What is a vision? And so, classically, Bill Gates, I think it's one of the best vision statements ever. His vision when he started Microsoft is to have a PC on every home desk in America, right? That's a big vision, particularly at a time when computers were not were not ubiquitous. People didn't have access to computers. They were kind of in schools and libraries and colleges and universities, right? So that's an example of a good vision statement. What do you think when I say the word vision statement?
Yeah, and I guess what the quote that I came up with, that I poorly recalled from Elon Musk, expanding human consciousness, that's a vision statement as well. I see a vision statement as kind of connected, and everybody has different definitions of vision statements. But I see it as kind of connected to a BHAG, a very audacious goal that is forward thinking about how you see the world after you made your dent in it. And mission is a little bit more connected to kind of the how, the Simon Sinek's why, how, what. I think mission is a little bit more connected to the how, like how are we going to achieve our vision?
So if you're saying that mission really is like your why, is that's that sort of inner
No,
core.
Mission's how.
Mission's how. So
what.
vision is really interesting. So that's reverse that most people would think of it, right? Most people would think of it, the mission is your why. And then the vision would be how you're going to go do that. So, I want to be a badass company, but the vision is we want every founder to be the most successful that they possibly could be, or we want 1 million companies to be formed out of the people that learn something from How to Founder. That's at least the way I think about it, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, again, if you look at the thing that we are currently using as our tag / mission statement for How to Founder is, we believe founders are the economic engine that drives prosperity, and we equip them for the journey. That feels like
a how.
It feels like a little bit. It feels like actually a combination of both. Like, why are we doing this, and how are we doing this? Or actually, it's how and what. Or it's It's why and what.
Why? What? Where? When?
Yeah, I don't know. Who?
Who? So
maybe I'm conflating this stuff a little bit too much.
No, but I think that's part of the problem, right?
Right.
And I think this
Exactly
is what I'm driving to, and I know that it's I'm using it as a guinea pig. Is the problem is nobody knows what the fuck we're talking about when we say mission, vision, value stuff. Every company, every consultant, every operating system, all of these have their own definitions of each of these pieces along the way. And so, as we are wont to do, let's deconstruct what it is that actually a founder needs to care about in this concept of purpose. So episode number 1, we talked about a noble vision, right? This idea, this
cause,
noble cause,
yeah.
like this noble cause, this reason why that you want to exist. And then now we're talking about a bunch of word soup, right?
Yes.
So if possible, what I'd like to try to do is peel back that word soup and get to the elements that matter most for founders. And so Peter Drucker famously said, culture will eat strategy for lunch, right? Is mission vision, is that stuff strategy or use it culture? And if so, if it's not, then how do I as a founder start to think about the words that I use to create the culture within my company, to start to create this thing?
It's really interesting. So the reason why I wanted to talk about noble cause before mission, vision, and values is because noble cause does not have any connection to good versus bad. Like, doesn't have any corporate baggage when it comes to what defining your why. And mission, vision, values absolutely does. So when it comes to culture and strategy, I think mission, vision, values has a lot to do with culture and strategy, and I think it has to do with it goes to those companies that their employees couldn't articulate their mission, right? And so it's an indicator, it's a leading indicator of whether or not your company is well connected and has a strong and vibrant culture. Is can they not verbatim repeat what the company's about, but can they get close? Can they articulate why they're there and what they're trying to accomplish? So I think again, it's an indicator of your culture, and how you align what the executive team says they're going to do with how it propagates throughout the rest of the company.
I think you bring up some really good points, which is, and I think that probably this is going to be one of those things, like one of the two things that we actually agree on, is that what matters most for founders is understanding their why. Understanding why, first and foremost, why you as a human, why you want to do this work. One thing we know for sure, this work is really fucking hard. It will make you suffer. It is way easier to go get a paycheck. But for those of us that love it, we love it, right? Without really thinking down and identifying why you want to do this. And some of it, what do you say famously, that we're all a little bit broken? Is that the...
Yeah.
We're all broken. I would leave a little bit out. All those founders are broken.
I mean, and so like first-time founders are broken. What about me and you, right? Like that have done it probably a collective 20 times now. Like that's
broken and unemployable, I think is what.
that's exceptionally broken at that point. And so in my mind, this starts with a founder sitting down and asking themselves some very important questions. And early on, Anthony, I didn't ask myself why I wanted to do this. It was all sort of swirled around ego and success and money and wanting to prove people wrong and things like that, which is a bad why, right? Maybe one of the reasons why my first company was such an absolutely colossal failure. But as I've moved through this process, I don't start anything unless I have a gut feeling of why I want to do this, why I want to spend my time, energy, passion, sleepless nights, getting up at the butt crack of dawn to do a podcast with you. Like what, that stuff is, I know you get up so early anyway. It's easy for you.
It's easy for me.
So posing that back to you, talk about why and talk about your experience with finding a why with the projects that you've done, whether it be one of your first ones, whether it be Effective UI, one of those things. What was it that drove you as the founder, and how did you identify that?
There's so many like deep hours of therapy I probably need to go through to be able to answer that question in an absolute, authentically truthful way. I don't think my why. So this is where I start to disconnect my why from a company's why. I look at mission, vision, values in a little bit different way. I look at it as a framing of what is this organization that we're creating? Why does it exist? And how are we going to operate? What are the things that we agree to as we start off, especially in early stages? It helps frame. It helps give you a mental model of what the company is supposed to be. It's certainly something you should revisit, but it's not the thing you revisit when things are going bad. Like if you're struggling as an organization, the first place you go isn't your mission, vision, and values. And I see a lot of executive teams do that, right? It's like,
exactly.
Or
we have mission.
Right?
Yeah.
We need to revisit our values. And it's like, well,
our mission. We have mission disalignment. It's like, what the fuck is that?
Right. So I'm not really answering your question, Chris, because I mean, frankly, I don't know how to answer it. But I do think it's important to have to go through the exercise, especially as a founder. Just like it's the same exercise as going through your noble cause, as going through your mission statement, and kind of like it's just a different way of rephrasing it, maybe a more structured way of doing it, and then aligning a vision and then values to it, so that you, in your own head, and maybe your early teams, you can get early team consensus on what it is that you're trying to do. It also gives you a chance to bump it up against people and see if it resonates with them. So it's kind of the defining statement to decide whether or not you have customer market fit, as well as you're aligned with what you believe and what you believe is true about the market, and what you want to, what kind of people you want to work with. That's kind of what it means to me when I write those things down.
Oh, I think the way that I think of it, and I think it's close, but it's slightly different, which is you as a founder have to identify why you do this work. Now, part of it for us, Anthony, might just be that we're truly unemployable, right? Like we can't get other jobs. But the notion is you have to start with why you want to do this and why you are drawn towards a particular subject, a particular idea, a particular passion. I think about my friend Ford, who started an incredible nonprofit 21 years ago, I think, called the Cottonwood Institute. He was just generally passionate about getting kids outside. He was passionate about the outdoors. It resonated with him. And now he started this incredible organization that's been around for it's more than 15. I think it's 21. So it has to start with you as the founder, because in early stage companies, that energy, that passion, that's what people get excited. But there is a moment, and it could be early, where you have to define why the company exists external from you. And so I want to work in the outdoor industry. That could be my why, but that's not the reason the organization exists. The organization now has to have a why of its own. And that's where I think mission statement can be valuable. And I think it can start to add some values if you do it right, which is starting to discuss with early employees, early partners, and by God, early customers, just like you were saying, go out and saying, hey, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we should have an organization that gets kids outside and teaches them about leadership in an outdoor environment. What do you think? That can start to create a sense of purpose and a mission for your company. I think important.
Sorry, Chris, but have you ever heard the phrase, and I'm going to screw the phrase up, but a single follower makes a lone nut a leader?
That's right. There's a great video that circulated around, which is like a guy at a music festival, and he's just jamming out.
Exactly right.
Completely by himself. Yeah. And then
one person joins him.
And then a whole bunch of people. And so really early stage companies, when you're thinking about mission, vision, values, noble cause, all those things, what you're trying to do is articulate a reason why people should follow you. And when I say follow, employees, customers, maybe investors, friends and family, why they should get behind this thing that you're doing. So I think it is really important to be able to articulate that in a way that other people can understand. And it is also really important to realize that whatever you do first is going to suck, and you have to continue to refine it. It's almost like a comedic bit when a comic is working on their first bit. They have to say it over and over and over again in front of a crowd to see whether or not the audience laughs. It's the same thing. Once you start articulating your mission and vision and values, if people are like, I don't get it, that's an indicator that you don't have it right yet, and that you're not going to be able to attract followers. And that's ultimately the job of a founder who wants to be more than a solopreneur.
Yeah. I think it's funny as we think back to the video, which by the way, I don't think we queued it up. It's from Silicon Valley, terrific television shows on HBO, right? But
Yes.
I, I've personally been I've judged probably 50 pitch competitions with that exact problem. Like when somebody can come in and just to clearly articulate, we build technology that helps solve this problem. Like, oh, thank you. Versus this absolute word throw up vomit soup thing that most founders do. And they're like, we're on a mission to make the world better and solo. Like, come on, man. Just stop. Get to the core purpose here. Okay, so
I once told the founder at a pitch. So I'm like, yeah, I love to judge pitches, and oftentimes I'm very founder friendly, but every once in a while I'll get a wild hair. And there was this one pitch. It was so well crafted. All the words were in the right. This is exactly what I told the founder. All the words were in the right places. You said all the right words. You said everything in the right order. But your company has no soul. and
you make them cry.
It was probably the most brutal thing I probably could have said. But what I meant was there's no, like, the deck exists to serve itself.
Yeah.
and not to actually. It needs your company needs a soul. It needs something more than the right words in the right places. It needs not a well articulated why, but an authentic why, an authentic reason for being. And
it's an
epidemic. You should try to capture
right?
the authentic. You should try to capture that authentic why in a mission statement, but it's really hard. It's really hard to capture, and it's really hard to remember.
It's also really hard for a person to say that. Like, we've been taught from a very beginning that business is something without feeling, and we're not supposed to bring us or our emotions or our thoughts into it, which is, we're saying the exact opposite for these founders, which is, man, give me a little bit of passion, give me a little bit of soul, give me a little piece of you that says why you're so passionate about working towards this thing, why you're so passionate about making the world a better place by using. All right, so I think that we've
Can I add to that, Chris? Can I add just a little bit to that?
Okay, go.
One of the people that worked for me came to you struggling with some problems we were having in the sales process, and they were responsible in part with bringing in new clients, and they were going through the deck and going through the pieces and going through the problems that we're having with execution. And I said to this person, fundamentally, I think you have a belief problem. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, when I go and talk to a customer, I truly believe that we're the right choice for them. Regardless of all our warts and flaws and making the sausage is bad, fundamentally, I believe in how we do it and what we do and why we're doing it. So it naturally comes from a place of, when I'm trying to help them solve their problem, it naturally comes from a place that I believe we can do it. I'm not trying to sell them. I'm trying to connect the dots for them. And if I can't connect the dots, then I go, we're not the right fit for you, because I can't sell something I don't believe in, truly, honestly, to my core believe in. And once the mission statement disconnects from your belief or anybody that works for you and their belief, it has now failed. Either you have the wrong person or the wrong mission statement. So I think fundamentally it's about belief.
Wow, that's actually big shit, Anthony. Nice job. So, like, what we're saying here is that as we start to think about how we can compartmentalize the mission statement and what the purpose is, and I say it should be just your why statement, and maybe even just saying it is something designed to inspire belief in both, well, you, your employees, and customers. Fair?
And investors, and
investors and everybody else.
Advocates, and fill in the blank.
Wow. All right. You got your freaking amazing point for the day. Nice job. Well done, dude.
Thank you.
So if that's mission vision, and I'm putting those two things together because truly in my mind, I can't figure out what's a mission and what's a vision. I think it's just a story that we tell as founders, and then we start to tell about our company, and we tell it again and again and again and again and again and again, to the point where we're sick of even hearing ourselves tell it, but we just keep telling the story about that purpose. But I like the idea of saying it's designed to inspire confidence and belief. That's a good one. So, but let's flip this now and talk about values, because values is another series of conversations that I believe strongly in values. I believe we as companies and we as people, we need to discuss core values, and we need to discuss them constantly. But before I do, I want to ask about what do you believe about core values? And then secondarily, what are the core values that you think are important for our little project together?
Interesting. So core values are actually one of the things that I think can be much more easily applied to how an organization operates than mission or vision. And here's how. If you properly construct your values, it should, and they align with what you're trying to do, right? They align with your mission and vision, what your direction. Then they should be able to be translated into interview questions and personality types that you're looking for. Not that you want homogeny in the types of people that you're hiring, but they all should. So in other words, values should be something that if everybody exhibited those values in the company's probably going to be successful. But you still need a lot of diversity in culture and in expertise and skills in order to execute across the organization. So they need to be higher level. Like one of the values that I've always used is collaborative. You need to be collaborative in order to be successful in the organizations that I run. You need to be open for criticism, and you need to feel free to feed criticism. But collaboration and consensus, this is another topic for the book, for the podcast. Collaboration and consensus are not the same thing. So how do those things play off one another? So I'm over answering the question, Chris. Sorry about that. But I think values actually have a purpose in an organization because it defines the type of people that you want to bring into the organization.
I think one of our values can be, why use 2 words to answer a question when we can use 2,000? I think that's something we share. Right.
Yes.
Verbose, is that maybe? Loquacious could be a bit core value. Yeah. I think so. Like, I agree. And I think you hit on a couple really key points, which is values is not about skills. And that's what I think some people kind of mistake that as well. So your example of collaboration is a great one. If collaboration is a core value, whether I collaborate well by doing the books, or whether I collaborate well by selling or marketing or building a great product or being an engineer or IT or whatever, those are skills. But the values is way deeper. It's about who you are as a human being. And we're trying to then attract the people that we want to work with in an organization. I'll tell you I got an opportunity for my last company. We deployed EOS, and EOS is called Entrepreneurial Operating System. The book is called Traction. Terrific system for kind of, we were a little bit small for it, but for, kind of smallish companies to grown companies. One of the things that they did the best was when they started talking about core values, they asked you to look at the top couple of employees in the company and asked you to say, why is this person so awesome? and just tell a story about it. Oh, as well, Diana, we had that RFP due, that we had the proposal due, and Diana stayed up with us all night to get that done. That's incredible, right? And then Steve drove all the way to Fort Collins to get the document that we needed, right? That's incredible. Like, that's dedication. And so it's a really good way to start thinking about how core values play out. So here's an interesting question for you, though. Is it core values, I think, is so much more about team than you, the founder. I think you as the founder can kind of have a little bit of personality, your personality can be reflected in those core values, but your team kind of needs to be the people that form those core values. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Sort of. I mean, you can't have a leader that has a misalignment with the core values, right? You do have to have core values that is more than just about you or your leadership team, but at the same time, they can't be incongruent with how the leadership team can't operate on different values than everybody else. Like, that does not work. So, like, for example, one of the core values that I've read other companies have is they need to be, like, very social. They need to be engaged with the community, and that can't be true for all of everybody that works for you. And, like, there are people that you're going to need that just want to be heads down and operate siloed and in spreadsheets or on customer service things, and they don't want to talk to other people. So you definitely have to be cognizant of the kind of people that you want to attract, and not exclude folks that you're eventually going to need with your values.
Yeah, it's a great point. All right, so we're going to do a brief exercise here as we wrap up this part of the conversation.
Okay.
I want you to think about one core value, one value that we're going to start with. We're probably going to get it wrong, so we'll change it along the way. But one core value that we need to have here on the How to Founder podcast with all 11 listeners that we have. I mean, that's total. That's total. That's me and you.
We're growing.
It's exponential. We have
10%
exponential
every week. 10%
That's
of the
right.
podcast. We're doing good.
That's, if we were pitching to a VC, we'd be like, "This is exponential growth here." All right. So, what is one core value that you think that we should embrace and document as something here on our podcast?
So, the word that pops into my head, and I'm not entirely sure. This wouldn't be the first word, but I think it is a core value that you and I share, and that we probably need to find in other people that decide to work with us, and that's mischievous.
I really like it. Explain how that manifests.
No, I see mischievous as one, not taking ourselves or the world too seriously, and always looking for the contrarian point of view. Always looking for, like, okay, the way things have been done, a lot of that is BS. So let's try to come at it in a different angle. So I think when I think about us together, we're mischievous, and the people that we gravitate towards are the same way. So that's the word that popped into my head when we started talking about values for How to Founder.
So mine is not too dissimilar. It's like it's fairly close, which is it's too easy to say we have fun and we enjoy working with each other, right? I think that the word that pops into my head is joy. And it's more than just fun, because it incorporates love. It incorporates a concept of just loving to hang out and bullshit and talk about companies and talk about founding companies and talk about our opinions, which mostly are wrong anyway, but we still love talking about them. But we also are super, super passionate about the subject matter around how can we help people not make the same stupid, dumbass mistakes that we've made in our companies down through the years, but in a way that's not preachy, it's not lectury, because we've made a lot of mistakes, right? So it's just about joy. It's joy around the subject matter. It's joy around talking. It's joy around hanging out. It's joy around also as to like actual bona fide extroverts, like not being heads down. I know that there are some people that.
Chris, I'm not an extrovert.
Oh, the hell you're not.
I'm
You
not
like
an
being.
extrovert.
No, I think you like being around other founders, though.
Yes. So do you know? Sorry, this is totally off topic. You know what the difference between that? You know what extrovert and introvert? You know how the definition comes. It's how do you recharge? And
I think that's a little bit of a bullshit metric, though,
I
because
think I totally identify it with. I think I identify it very tightly because there's a lot of circumstances. So when I'm in a room with people I don't know, I'm uncomfortable.
That's called
And-
being human. It's not called being an introvert. Every human feels
but
that.
but introverts doesn't mean you're not social. It just means
Also, extroverts doesn't mean that you don't need to go sit in a dark room and watch Netflix from time to time and just chill the fuck out. Like it's a complete, and it's I get angry about this because my children are like, they try to define themselves in these clear boxes. Like, no, man, it's a range. I love being around other people. I love talking to other people, but I still got to go. Like, I need downtime too. It's not the fact.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
I think you're a more natural expert than I am. So you. Sorry, I didn't mean to divert the conversation, but
no, it's fine that you're just admitting you're a nerd.
Putting me in the same bucket as you for an extrovert, I'm like, no, we're not the same. You have this special skill for it. You have this special community connection skill that I admire, and I don't want to put myself in the same bucket.
Well, I will graciously accept the compliment and then take that compliment and just call you a nerd. It's fine, nerd.
Okay,
nerd.
I love the title. I'll take it all day long.
All right, so let's wrap this conversation up.
Okay.
Try to summarize what we've talked about. So we've talked about mission, we've talked about vision, and then talked about values. Do your best. So start with mission, vision. Do your best to kind of wrap up our conversation.
Well, Chris, you're the host. You're the host today. It's your job to start.
Well, no, I mean, but give me a couple of thoughts. Like, what is? So I'll do what I think, but also giving you an opportunity to weigh in. As an extrovert, I tend to talk too much, Anthony. So I just sort of,
I think fundamentally we're talking about something very similar as noble cause, but I think it was important for us to distinguish it out from what my takeaway from this conversation is don't do a mission, vision, value statement because everybody else is doing it. Figure out fundamentally why you're doing it. I go back to belief and belief alignment within your organization and with the people that you hire. And I think that's a really good way to frame it. It connects with noble cause, and maybe it's the same thing, but fundamentally it's can you get people to follow you based on what you believe is the right thing for their organization?
So I think noble cause is your why. I think that's your passion. It is what you want to see as a founder, and you can bring that into the company, where the only difference here is you have to write that down in a story format, and then that has to be about your company. And so the way that I would summarize this is mission, calling it a mission and vision, I think does not matter. I think what matters is it is your company's why. And can you, your employees, your investors, everybody around the table in this community that you create as a founder, can they clearly articulate why this company exists? And I love that concept of belief. It should be framed. This story that you tell, your founding story, should be framed in a context of how can I get us to believe that this thing should exist in the world, right? We need this thing to be. So last part of this, values, same question to you on values. So I think those things are separate. On values, any sort of summation on how you think about values, and do you think about them any differently now after this conversation?
I think values for me are, what are the attributes of the people that you want to bring as a part of the organization? What are the attributes of the people that you think can company-wide contribute to your noble cause?
I think it's a great way to frame it. I think the only thing I would add to that is values can and should change over time. While your why statement probably will stay super consistent, as you grow, as you change, as you evolve, you can change values. Values can adjust. They can be from, well, maybe it's joy and then it's collaboration, maybe it's community, whatever those things are. They can kind of morph to fit the size of your company, because what your values are how you behave given a certain set of circumstances, right? And a company that exists of two people might behave differently than a company of 2,000 people or an organization of 2,000 people. So you can grow and evolve those over time. But values to me is your framework that a company uses or an organization uses to make those decisions. Really good conversation. Thank you for the debate, and you're still a nerd. I want to ask, let's transition kind of out of this to our final thing. And I want to say first, actually, let's swap these if you don't mind, just on the fly. Where do you think people can go to kind of get this stuff? Well, I've got 2 resources, and add any if you think. 2 resources where people can go to try to find out more information. The first one is, you mentioned it, with Simon Sinek's stuff. He has a book, but he also has 100 videos online about finding your why. And his TED Talk, which, by the way, have you seen the original TED Talk? It's like one of the most viewed TED Talk. It has worse production value than our podcast. It's like dark, and he's drawing like poorly on this flip chart. And it's still one of the greatest TED Talks of all time. So any of the Simon Sinek stuff on why. The other one is Guy Kawasaki's The Art of the Start. It is a must read for almost any founder. I think it's one of the quintessential books that every founder, entrepreneur should read. But he has a thing in there that just says, make meaning, make mantra. And it's really kind of his take on these same concepts. So I recommend that. Any other recommendations that pop into your mind?
No, those are the 2 that I would have suggested as well. Those are great resources to dive deeper if you want to.
Beautiful. So let's transition, and I'm going to ask you, Anthony Franco, the curious man that you are, what did you learn this week? And when did you learn? Like, did you just see something cool, or did you read something cool?
This is one of the weeks, Chris, where I did a lot of hard things and learned nothing. Like, this is one of those weeks where it's like, boy, that really sucked. I got nothing to show for it. Like, I got through it, like I solved the problem, but they were one-off problems that I'll never be able to. Like, I learned nothing from it. So I guess what I learned is some weeks you just have those weeks where it's hitting your head against a brick wall only because it feels good when you stop. Like, that was the kind of week that I had.
Here's where I'll challenge your thinking, which is, I think it's okay to say, I didn't learn anything from that now, right? Because when you're in the shit, rule number 1 is, when you're in the shit, you don't know that you're in the shit, right? Like, it's just every single time that you're going through and doing hard stuff and you're grinding and it feels really bad. The lessons don't always come immediately, but they always come.
Oh, the lesson. Right. Yeah. I know I was in the shit this week.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the lesson is yet.
Yeah. But I mean, so it's like, hey, so perhaps, if I may reframe, maybe one of the things that you're learning and you continue to learn is that lessons don't come when you're in the shit. You got to get out of the shit before the lessons can come.
Fair enough.
Right. So
much better articulated than I did. Chris, what did you learn this week? Hopefully it's something
well, so I learned that there's a terrific television show. It's on Apple TV. It's called Presumed Innocent. Now, I saw the movie originally and read the book originally. And all I'll say is I was hesitant to watch the series because I was like, dude, already seen it, already read the book. And, like I'm kind of one of those, I read the book snobs. Like people are like, oh, I saw this movie. It's like, well, the book is way better. Right. By the way, Dune, like I know both you and I are sci-fi nerds, like the original book of Dune, one of the greatest books of all time. And then you're like, well, I've read the book. I don't need to see the movies. And then this latest movie came out and I was like, it's fucking brilliant. It's genius.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that I saw that movie.
Agree.
Yeah.
This is the reason why I don't read, Chris, is because I don't want to ruin the movie.
Why would I read? Oh, on Presumed Innocent, I read the book. I thought I know what was going to happen. And the only teaser I'll give is that the ending was very different than the ending I'd seen previously. So even if you read the first book, which probably, I was the only nerd that did, but or saw the first movie, watch it. It's on Apple TV. All right,
Cool.
Anthony, what do we have coming up on our next episode next Tuesday?
So, Chris, I haven't talked to you about this, but my goal next episode is to reduce the number of listeners we have on the podcast. I'm going to talk about why not to be a founder, why not to be an entrepreneur. So we're gonna go through the reasons. Entrepreneurship has a romanticized idea of what it is, and we're gonna dispel a lot of those romanticized ideas. And as a final wrap up, I'm going to remind everybody to follow us on LinkedIn.com/company/howtofounder. We're trying to hit that 150 mark of followers on that page so we can start broadcasting live on our How to Founder page. And Chris and I are also on LinkedIn. You can follow us on YouTube using the same handle. And with that, Chris, thank you so much for hosting today. I think it was a great conversation.
I thought it was great as well. Thank you, Anthony. And let's go out and write a shareable mission and vision statement over the weekend. I think it'll be great. Let's just completely waste our time. Let's waste
some time. Exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. All right, have a good one.
Bye.